Since 1875, this is where it happens. Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the sport's most coveted prize, the Kentucky Derby. The hardware, unclaimed for now. About 780 miles northeast. Welcome, everyone, to Belmont Park. I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Tomorrow, somebody's going home with that trophy. So who's it going to be? That's what we're here trying to figure out. The answer to a very simple question. Who's going to win the 148th Kentucky Derby? Sounds easy enough till you take a look at the very deep competitive field for this year's Run for the Roses, and those odds are updated as we tape the show. We're live here. Mo Donegal drawn inside 7-1. Epicenter, second choice on the morning line, now 5-1. The morning line favorite, look at that overlay. Number 10, Zandon, 3-1 on the morning line, now 8-1. 5-1 on Taiba, trying to win the Kentucky Derby in his third career start. As I am joined by champion jockey Richie Migliore, New York Racing Association analyst Andy Serling. Andy, let's start with the morning line favorite, Zandon. How surprised are you by the price that he's currently at 8-1?
Extremely surprised. You know, we've talked about this. There's not a lot of the money being bet, but the odds don't frequently change that much. And unless Mattress Mac bets his $3 or $4 million on Zandon, he may drift down, but I don't think you'll get less than 5-1 on him. And I'm surprised. He had worked very well for this race. And the thing that I like about him, aside from his talent, is he's shown the ability to fight through horses, overcome some adversity. A lot of the horses in this race, and it's not a knock on them, they're very good, but they've had pretty good trips in their races. And the Derby's a race where you want a horse that's battle-tested. And Zandon is as battle-tested as any horse in the race by far. What does
Flavien Prat, his jockey, Richie, have to do to put him in position to win?
Give him the same kind of trip he gave him in the Bluegrass, but he had the horse that could make spots. He's tractable. He can get into a spot, idle, move again. He's got turn of foot, and he needs pace. I think if he gets pace, he's going to be very tough.
8-1 currently. Zandon, the morning line favorite for the Kentucky Derby. And he comes in off that big Bluegrass Stakes win that you just saw. Traffic, how much of a concern? Richie, big field, a horse that does his best running from off the pace.
Well, it's always a concern, but Zandon's the kind of horse that helps a rider get in and out of spots. He's quick, he's shifty, and he's shown that he's brave. He doesn't care about kickback in his face. He doesn't care about being crowded by horses. In a 20-horse field, he's the perfect dance partner.
31 years since a Bluegrass Stakes winner won the Derby. But who's counting? And should Zandon wind up post-time favorite, which it doesn't look like, look out. Because since 2000, no less than 10 post-time Derby favorites have won. That doesn't include Barbaro in 2006, who should have been favored. None of the last 3 years, but still 45% since 2000. That is ridiculous. Even more ridiculous, if you don't have a NYRA Bets account, this is the best time to join. Join now, NYRA Bets, $25 free bet for the Kentucky Derby. New members can also earn a $200 deposit bonus with promo code Derby25. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NYRABets.com to earn that $25 bet plus $200 deposit match. As for the colt, many thought would be the morning line favorite, Epicenter, Louisiana Derby winner. Andy, what makes him a threat?
Well, he's tractable. He can make his own trip. If the pace gets hot, he can sit off horses, as he did in the Louisiana Derby, and get the money. If the pace isn't hot, he can be forward and win it on the front end. Now, he has never faced an adversity. He has had absolutely perfect trips in all of his races, but doesn't mean he's not a good horse. But I worry about the pace. And oddly, one of the most unlikely winners of this race, Summers Tomorrow, may hold the key to the race, because if he shows his speed, it's going to get hot up front, and that could negatively affect a horse like Epicenter. If he doesn't, Epicenter could have the field at his mercy.
How much of the versatility for Epicenter and jockey Joel Rosario, for trainer Steve Asmussen, though, North American's all-time leading trainer, has never won the Derby. 0 for 23. That's a record. Most Derby starters without a win. He's been close. Pair of seconds and a pair of thirds as we check in with Maggie Wolfendale at Churchill Downs.
Hard to believe that Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen has not earned a Kentucky Derby win, but possibly Epicenter will give him his best chance to do so. Coming in off of a dominant performance in the mile and 3/16 Louisiana Derby, earning a 102 buyer, he was able to show a new dimension, rating off the pace, taking kickback with aplomb. He's been training in the morning with some older horses in which he is rating comfortably, whether he be on the inside or the outside of those older riders. rivals and finishing up strong. And that's what I've noticed from his gallops, too, this week leading into the Run for the Roses. He might start off a little bit on the slower side, but he is full of energy at the end of his training regime. And I think breaking from post 3, being forward is going to play into his hands, but being able to rate comfortably will work beneficially.
And it's not like Asmussen is the only trainer seeking a first Derby win. In fact, half of them are, and half of those are making their Kentucky Derby debut, including Tim Yakteen. And this is a big part of the story for this year's Kentucky Derby. Remember, 6-time Kentucky Derby winning trainer Bob Baffert has been suspended by Churchill Downs. He cannot compete, cannot run horses in the next 2 Kentucky Derbies. So 2 of his Derby prospects have been sent to trainer Tim Yakteen. Messier and Taiba, the winner of the Santa Anita Derby. For more on this part of the story, we check in with Paula Duke at Churchill Downs.
And what to do with the Tim Yakteen runners. His first 2 runners ever in a Kentucky Derby, and both of these horses are coming in from California. Let's take a look at the Santa Anita Derby. And when you take a look at the Santa Anita Derby, obviously the buzz was all over Messier, even though Messier and Taiba were not favorites in the race. But Messier's always had a kind of horse that was a buzz horse. 50 cents on the dollar first time out, 40 cents on the dollar. Favorite in all 6 starts, and he topped off the 2022, not the campaign, in February 6th, winning the Bob Lewis by 15. And he runs into his stablemate Taiba that goes from 6 furlongs to 1 mile and 1/8 and goes by him late. Last time I talked to Mike Smith, he thinks that Taiba is the next shared belief, mini shared belief. We'll see if that happens on Saturday.
High praise for Taiba there from Hall of Famer Mike Smith. Richie, what should Mike Smith riding Taiba, John Velasquez, riding Taiba and Messier, what is the best approach for both of them to put them in the spot to be most successful?
Well, I think Mike has to be very mindful of the fact that he's riding a very inexperienced colt. It's only his 3rd start. He's faced 13 rivals in 2 races. He's facing 19 rivals in 1 race. So he's going to be aggressive. I agree with Andy. Andy, you feel like he's going to be forward. I agree.
He wants to be in the clear.
I don't think he wants to put him in a position where he gets inundated with kickback from 10 horses,
Agreed.
8 horses. He's going to have to be forward. And as brilliant as Taiba is, and as much natural talent as he obviously possesses, this is why I don't like him in the Kentucky Derby in his 3rd start.
The complication, Andy, these horses going from Bob Baffert's stable, they're now with Tim Yakteen as a handicapper. How are you treating the entire situation?
They ran just as well for Tim Yakteen as they ran for Bob Baffert, so I don't see any reason to be worried about that. Tim Yakteen's a very capable trainer, just hasn't had the opportunities that Baffert's had. He's also worked with Bob Baffert, so he understands what Baffert wants to do. So I expect these horses to run as well for Tim as they ran for Bob. I'm with Richie on Taiba. A horse like that's going to beat me in this race. I do think he's the most talented horse in the race. I just think it may be a mistake running him in this race.
Let's see how they perform in the 148th Kentucky Derby. Also, what can be complicated from time to time, predicting the weather in Louisville. Derby weather forecast brought to you by Spendthrift Farm. Looks all right for now. Around 63 degrees, 24% chance of rain, but for the most part, expecting a fast track, the key for the Derby at Churchill Downs. When we come back, no trainer has started more Derby runners than that guy, 2-time Derby winner Todd Pletcher, 59 and counting. He'll saddle 3 more on Saturday. And of course, Brad Cox last year became the first Louisville-born trainer to win the Derby, but not the way he wanted to.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to the Kentucky Derby preview show on Fox Sports 2, brought to you by Spendthrift Farm. For the break, we mentioned Todd Pletcher's record number of Derby starters, 59 going on 62. His 2-win Super Saver, 2010 Always Dreaming. 2017, Pletcher hoping to add a third with either Charge It, Pioneer of Medina, or Mo Donegal. We revisit the Wood Memorial. Andy, Mo Donegal taking down New York's premier Kentucky Derby prep race.
It's tough to lose Joel Rosario, but when you pick up Irad Ortiz, you did pretty well. But Irad's watching this race and he's thinking, I got my work cut out for me to give as good a ride as Joel gave him in the Wood Memorial. Because the way this race played out, he needed every bit of that sensational ride to get it done. And that's the problem with deep closers. They need good trips, they need clean trips, and they need quick paces. And he beat a good horse in this race in early voting. It could be heard from the Preakness. If the pace is quick, though, this guy will be coming at the end.
Has to break from the rail. Richie, Irad Ortiz, how can he win from down there?
I think it's fine for him. He's a closer. With the configuration, excuse me, with the new starting gate, there's more room to the inside instead of the one horse looking at the elbow of the turn the way it used to be. There's much more space to work with. And he's going to get out-footed early anyway. He's a true mile-and-a-quarter horse from a pedigree standpoint. You can go back to his Grand Dam on the female side. Island Sand won the Delaware Park Handicap at a mile-and-a-quarter. And I agree. He got an absolutely perfect trip in the Wood Memorial. But it's because it's the first time he's ever stayed in the bridle and showed continuity, and it helps a rider when a horse is that willing of a participant.
And he's got that gorgeous mane, Mo Donegal. Charge It, Richie. How can he win the Derby in just his 4th career start, runner-up in the Florida Derby?
Well, I think he's part of the pace. I think he's a horse that wants to be forward. I think he got a little bit compromised at the break last time, and I think he's going to be up close. And if he's going to win the Derby, it's going to be because he gets that forward kind of trip.
Light and experience, loaded with talent. Charge It. Finally, Andy, Pioneer of Medina, the least heralded of the Pletcher trio.
I just want to know he has as nice a mane as Mo Donegal does. Obviously, he'll have to improve, but I think if you like Epicenter in this race, or you're even looking at Zozos, you have to look at Pioneer of Medina, who finished 3rd behind those horses in Louisiana, and he is improving for Todd Pletcher. And trainers like Todd Pletcher, the top trainers, are dangerous when their young horses are improving. I don't like him, but if somebody wants to tell me he's their long shot to use somewhere in tries and supers, I'm not going to be the one to argue with him.
Mo Donegal considered the best of the 3, and Charge It, both talented. It's a matter of experience. And then with Mo Donegal, who does need that ride from Irad Ortiz from the rail.
He needs to work out a trip, figure out who your live cover is, who's going to be your fullback to carry you through the line that you can follow. Again, I go back to Mo Donegal. I saw a great deal of mental maturity from him in the Wood Memorial because you watch his 2-year-old races, he's always having to be reminded of his job, not so much in the Wood Memorial.
Todd Pletcher, not the only trainer running 3 horses in the Kentucky Derby. So is trainer Brad Cox, won last year's Kentucky Derby with Mandaloon. Tawny Port, Zozos, and Cyberknife all drawn towards the outside. Andy, Cyberknife, the improving Arkansas Derby winner.
Yeah, the difference between these 3 and Todd Pletcher's 3 is that Todd Pletcher has one of the favorites. Brad has varying degrees of middle-of-the-road to long-shot horses. And listen, that is what it is. You danced the road, brought you there. It's a terrific ride by Florent Geroux. He made a decisive move at the right time. It turned out to be the right move to make to seize control of the race. Completely opposite ride that Secret Oath got when she ended up finishing 3rd. I just don't think he's good enough. Now, I see him as a cut below, and if he takes a step forward and others don't run, he's not impossible to get a piece. But overall, I just wonder if he's beating horses in Arkansas that are just a cut below the best horses.
Florent Geroux won last year's Derby, but by disqualification. Richie, how can he win this one with Cyberknife?
Well, this horse already showed the ability to make 2 distinct runs. He had an opportunity to get up into position into the far turn, and it was a fast pace. And he took that opportunity, put him up in the spot, and then gave him an opportunity to idle a little bit, catch his breath, and then he kicked on again. So the fact that he can have the confidence to make 2 moves with the horse is going to help him in a big field.
And Zozos for Brad Cox, runner-up to Epicenter in the Louisiana Derby, Andy.
Yeah, I like Zozos. He's a neat horse, right? I mean, he's done, he's only run 3 times, and he's done a lot. He ran that big race at Oaklawn Park, and then he backed it up by running well behind Epicenter. And if you love Epicenter, you can't say that Zozos has no chance. Still, he's very light on seasoning, and I just think there are too many horses ahead of him. I like Zozos as a horse, just not in the Kentucky Derby.
Named after a restaurant in the British Virgin Islands, and everyone at Zozos will be watching. Finally, Tawny Port, Richie, the last of the Brad Cox Derby trainees, the Lexington winner at Keeneland.
Yeah, he did win on dirt after coming off a good run in synthetic races at Turfway Park. He would surprise me. It just doesn't feel like he's good enough.
I agree. I mean, his Lexington was fine, but you look at it compared to the others, it's just not good enough to beat these horses.
All drawn towards the outside, Richie. Cyberknife post 16, Tawny Port 18, Zozos 19. How do you expect Brad Cox to deploy them in terms of strategy leaving the gate early?
Well, I think Zozos being lightly raced and showing the speed he did and running as well as he did in Louisiana Derby, he's the one that's probably going to show the most speed of the three. I think Tawny Port is more of a closing type, so I wouldn't expect him to be forward. And we saw the way Cyberknife's been training. He's been so aggressive in the bit. I think he'll be looking to try to find his way into behind the first flight and try to save some ground someplace.
20 horses in the Kentucky Derby, 6 of them trained by Todd Pletcher and Brad Cox, as we check in with Maggie and Paul at Churchill Downs.
Crown Pride will be looking to buck history and become the first UAE Derby winner to win the Kentucky Derby, Paul. And let's look back at that dominant win over in Dubai for this Japanese horse.
He was very, very good, Maggie. He's the wild card horse for me in this year's Kentucky Derby. He's got a ton of talent. I don't know if his mind's there. I leave looking up at a horse what a horse looks like to you, but he's shined like a penny since he's got here.
He has. Physically, he's going to be fit because he has recorded 5 workouts since arriving here in Kentucky, including a blowout this Wednesday of 46-3. But I love what they do with him before he actually goes onto the track and trains. They take him into the chute, Paul, and do these kind of dressage movements, which I think has led to him being more relaxed and balanced in his regime.
And that's going to be the key. Listen, the gate's always the key of horses that come over here first time in the United States. If he can get out of the gate, get himself in striking position and not be like 17th and more like 10th, he might have a big shot late in this race.
Will the Japanese prove that they can handle any kind of racing anywhere in the world?
Got some traction. Have a buzz horse, Richie, Crown Pride, as he gears up for the Derby at Churchill.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a lot of works. He works basically every 3 days. Clockers I respect, Mike Welsh included, love what they've seen from him in his training. I'd be surprised if he won, but he is fit. We know that from all his works. He's got an interesting pedigree, too. 3 back on his female side, Sunday Silence, 4 back on his male side, Sunday Silence. He's inbred 3x4 to him. A lot of American pedigree in there with Mr. Prospector. I mean, some really strong families. So from a pedigree standpoint, I give him puncher's chance.
I'll have a buzz if that horse wins this race because I'll be able to drink my sorrows away. I just don't see Crown Pride as being a factor in this race at all. I think the horse that's more interesting out of the race in Dubai is the horse finished second, not because he can win, but because he can have a dramatic effect on the pace. I just don't think Crown Pride is good enough to compete with these horses.
About to become just the second ever Japanese bred to run in the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. A little closer to Louisville, Gulfstream Park in Hallandale, Florida, site of the Florida Derby. 5 horses have prepped and won and captured the Kentucky Derby in the last 16 years. Barbaro, Big Brown, Orb, Nyquist, Always Dreaming, even Maximum Security crossed the wire in front before disqualification. Bodes well for Barbaro, Andy, this year's Florida Derby winner over Charge It and Simplification.
I just want to know who your favorite is in that list, Lafitte. I have a guess,
Barbaro.
but I'm wondering who it is.
Oh, towards the bottom.
I actually do think there's a horse out of the Florida Derby that's a little interesting, and that's Simplification, who I actually picked second as he's my long shot horse in this race because he did the dirty work in here, and Jose Ortiz knows that's not what he needs to do in this race, and he's shown the ability to run well from all different spots in the race. Now, I'm not going to knock White Abarrio. It's a very good horse who's run very well down there. I want to see him bring that act up from Florida, and at a shorter price, I don't really want him. I prefer Simplification, but you can't knock White Abarrio. He's run well in all his races.
No, he's a very good horse, but I agree. I think, we saw with Simplification that he wants to be off the pace. He doesn't want to be so involved, and he wound up in that spot in the Florida Derby when he's been so much more effective with horses to run at. He's going to get that in the Derby. There's going to be more pace.
And the horses he was engaged with finished absolutely nowhere, including Classic Causeway.
And while Abarrio has not won at Churchill Downs, Smile Happy has last fall in the Kentucky Jockey Club. Proven over the track, the son of Run Happy. Solid form. There he is in one of his best performances, Kentucky Jockey Club last fall.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I started to wonder about how he made the jump from 2 to 3, but his races are actually better than I gave him credit for. And he might be primed for his best in his 3rd start as a 3-year-old. I think he was a little bit too involved last time in the Bluegrass, and he hooked a very good Zandon. I think he's better dropping out and coming with 1 run.
I agree with that sentiment, Richie. My problem watching the Bluegrass is Run Happy was a tremendous racehorse, but he wasn't a 1.25 mile horse. And I wonder, looking at the Bluegrass, if he's a horse that's going to get better with distance. And I think Richie's strategy is a good one. If you're trying to get him to go farther, you want to try to come with that late burst and sort of let him loaf along like a turf race. I just don't see him winning this race at this distance.
Strength of schedule, though. Nothing wrong running second to Zandon and Epicenter in his 2 starts as a 3-year-old. Smile Happy. When we come back here on the Kentucky Derby Preview Show, time to put our money where our mouths are. Kentucky Derby selections, final answers only, 20 to choose from. Chalk, long shot, time is running out. Derby picks next on the Kentucky Derby Preview Show.
Whether it's Division I or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farms Stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 Grade 1s, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Perfectly timed. Idol gets up under Joel Rosario to win the big cap. It's known agenda for St. Elias Stable.
Race Adler, a scintillating performance in the TVG Del Mar debutante.
And Clairiere will win the cotillion. Down to the wire. Who's going to win it? It's Mala by a neck.
Curling, the classic sire.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
NYRA Bets is your way to bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including the Kentucky Derby. Get started at NYRABets.com and check out the Derby Week promotions available to all members. And it's a great time to join NYRA Bets. Now, you join now, get a $25 free bet for the Kentucky Derby. New members can also earn up to a $200 deposit bonus with that promo code Derby25. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NYRABets.com to earn that free $25 bet plus $200 deposit match. We gave Paul Duca $225 to play tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. Paul, how are you using it?
Lafitte, my $225 bankroll. This is how I'm going to play it. I got some green behind me. Let's get some green on Saturday. Okay, I really like Epicenter. I feel like he's a Rodney Dangerfield of this field, even though he's 7-2 morning line. I think you're going to get around 4-1 somewhere in that area. So I'm going to go $125 to win on Epicenter, right on the nose. My other $100, I'm going to take a shot with Zozos on the outside. If you look at all the Brad Cox runners, I think this horse is moving forward. I get it. At Munnings out of a forestry mare, it's really hard to project this horse going 1.25 miles, but Maggie Wolfendale's telling me he's doing good, then hopefully I'll be doing good on Saturday.
Best of luck, Paul. That's how his approach. Andy? Who wins the Derby?
I like Messier. I think Messier is a very interesting horse. I think that he almost would help set the race up. I'm not saying they rode him that way, but he set the race up for Taiba. He went after Forbidden Kingdom last time out and did the dirty work. I don't think it's going to play out that way. I think he'll be behind Taiba in this race. And I look at him and I think he's run fast enough to win this race. He's got tactical speed, but he doesn't need the lead. And I don't feel like he's that much less likely to win, if at all, than an Epicenter or a Zandon. And he could hopefully make his own trip, and he's a better price. For me, it's all about trying to find value. I picked him over Simplification. I've got Zandon Epicenter 3rd and 4th, but I'm going to try to get Messier home in this race and get a 2-race winning streak after going about 0 for 23 years in the Derby.
And he goes with Messier, but who does a Ranger fan like in the Derby?
Well, listen, I love Messier, the player, but I'm going with Epicenter. I loved his Louisiana Derby, the fact that he showed a different dimension, sliding in behind the pace. It was obvious they were schooling him. They were using it as a race to teach him something. And the fact that he passed that test and they can be comfortable that they can handle him whichever way it comes up. If there's not a lot of pace on, which I anticipate being a very solid pace. If it is, he's in behind them. He's taking the kickback. He's shown another dimension, and he's going to be forward enough where he's going to have to deal with less traffic than, let's say, a Mo Donegal, who I like, than a Zandon, who I like. So I'm about Epicenter.
Epicenter for Mig. Maggie, about that time, who takes down the Derby?
I may be chalking it out here, but I'm going to go with the horse that I've always liked, and that is Zandon. From day one, when he debuted as a 2-year-old, he has just progressed leaps and bounds. His Bluegrass was visually impressive and his fastest race to date. But I like the fact that he only has the 2 starts as a 3-year-old, and he could be hitting his best 3rd off the break and now as a 3-year-old. I love the way he's moving and love the way he's training as Chad Brown searches for his first Kentucky Derby win. Paul, who do you like?
Well, Maggie, I hate to get sort of chalky on you, even though I think Zandon's going to be the favorite. I really love Epicenter. He's done nothing wrong. I get it. Steve Asmussen has not won a Kentucky Derby, but he's a heck of a trainer, and there's a first time for everything, and I think he's going to get it done this year. This colt is a colt that likes to sit in any kind of position, and those are the kind of horses that you like in the Kentucky Derby. They are tactable. They can maybe come from off the pace. I really think Epicenter hasn't really got to his full potential. Hopefully that full potential comes out on Saturday.
Epicenter for Paul LaDuca. I'm in agreement with Andy. A little scary. Messier for me. Our selections, Richie with Epicenter, Andy Messier, Maggie Zandon, Paul LaDuca Epicenter, but you almost feel like you have to pivot on that price if you're a Zandon fan. Wow, you're feeling good about that 8-1.
I just want to be clear on something. I feel bad that you picked the same horse as me. You cannot feel bad that I picked the same horse as you. I just want to be clear on that.
Messier for both of us. Of course, as we mentioned, great time to sign up here at NYRA Bets. Get that $25 free bet for the Kentucky Derby. New members can also earn up to a $200 deposit bonus. Use that promo code Derby25, but any track, anywhere, anytime. Join now at NYRABets.com to earn that $25 bet plus $200 deposit match. 148th Kentucky Derby. Beneath the Twin Spires at Churchill. Richie, what are you specifically looking for right from the start of the race?
Want a clean break. Breaks are so important no matter what the distance of a race. You don't want to be put at a disadvantage right off the break. You want to be able to get your position the way you want to get it. Even if you're on a closer, it's important that you get into a stride, a rhythm, and find your position.
And I think playing off of that, the number 4, Summer is Tomorrow. I think that horse's break and where that horse is, believe it or not, he can't win the race, but he could affect the outcome by going fast early. And for people at home, if you see the 4 in front as they go around the turn, there's a very good chance they're going too fast up front. And if you bet some closers, that could be good for your horses. He's oddly a key to the race.
Something to watch for right from the start of tomorrow's Kentucky Derby. Thanks so much for joining us on the Kentucky Derby preview show. For Maggie, Paul, Mig, Andy, I'm Lafitte Pinkai. Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy the Derby. What will that colt do tomorrow afternoon? The Bluegrass winner. Will Chad Brown get his first Kentucky Derby? Zandon. Steve Asmussen register his first Kentucky Derby win with Epicenter. Have a great night, everyone. Best of luck in the Derby. We'll see you tomorrow.